Welcome back to Toast Sports Baseball. All-Star snubs are piling up. Misarowski just outdueled Skenes. Mets are spiraling, and Ohtani hit 101 on the gun. Let's jump into it. All right, let's get started with All-Star voting. Has fan voting absolutely killed the All-Star game? Casey, let's hear from you first on this, since All-Star game's in Atlanta this year.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's terrible for baseball. These fans, dude, the fans don't know what they're talking about. They're casuals. They don't know ball, And it's a popularity contest. You got Mets people just dogpiling the votes, the Yankees, the Dodgers, and you've got guys who are having career years getting just like totally thrown in the garbage here. And aside from just this year's All-Star game, there's a career effect on that. These guys are all like vying to get into the Hall of Fame one day, and they're gonna have one less All-Star appearance on their record, which is kind of ridiculous. And it would be different if some of these snubs were a little bit tighter, but there's like a wide margin between some of these guys that are in the finals and guys like Ellie De La Cruz who didn't get in the finals. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. The final phase 2 voting started, I believe, yesterday or maybe today, and it ends on July 2nd. So there's still a chance to go out there and cancel out some of these Dodger and Met votes if you're still trying to get your guy into the game. But yeah, man, some of these snubs have been nuts. Some of these snub names have been insane. Joe, who is the biggest snub out of the ones that we're going to mention here in a minute? But who do you think is the single biggest snub so far?
I think the biggest snub is Rafael Devers. He would have been an All-Star if he would have never been traded, which was a management decision. And now he is no longer in the All-Star game. 1, due to fan voting, and 2, due to Ohtani. And I guess 3, they don't allow 2 DHs on a team. So I think Rafael Devers is the biggest snub.
Yeah. I got one better for you. It's got to be James Wood. It's got to be James Wood, man. The dude leads the NL, I believe, in homers, OPS, and WAR, and was left out for Teoscar Hernandez and Andy Pajes. By the way, I have a take here. Basically, if I'm a mid-level guy and I'm going to a team, I know if I go play for the Dodgers right now, I have a damn good shot of having an average year and still making an All-Star game. Yep. And that looks good on your resume at the end of the year or at the end of your career. Yep. So why am I gonna want to go? It's just another reason to not go play for the Cincinnati Reds or the Washington Nationals, because you just know, like, I could have one of the best years of anybody in the entire league, and I'm still not going to have an opportunity to play at the All-Star game. That to me is that's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I agree. It's when you make it a popularity contest, you're just never going to get away from that. And so I just don't understand why the MLB doesn't let the players cast the ballot first and then the coaches do the second round. It's that simple. And I mean, dude, fans, you get to enjoy the game, but there has to be a little bit of integrity in decisions that are this impactful. And so, yeah, I mean, players vote first and then coaches vote second. You're not allowed to vote for players on your team. Simple.
Yeah, there's got to be some level of oversight on this, because you're ruining guys' accolades by not including them in the game, or at least in the voting piece of it, right? I think an easy fix, right, is fans can pick the starters.
Yeah.
But you have to pick from a pool of people that are selected
by the industry.
Correct.
Right.
I think it's crazy that fans get to go in and just basically load up the ballot with a whole bunch of, like, I'm not calling them nobodies, but like Max Muncy's a good player.
Yeah.
But the dude started the year, like, he's gone crazy. He had a crazy June, but he started the year batting like under 100. So much so that he was dropped from my fantasy team because he was literally bringing down the average. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, that guy, while he's had a hot run, I don't know that justifies you being in the All-Star game over the likes of James Wood. Like, if we're talking positionless, right? We're talking positionless. Like, I can't justify putting you in over a Devers or somebody of that nature. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Jonathan Aranda deserves some love.
That's
he
another
deserves
one.
his All-Star nod. He got hosed. Mike Trout's having a good year. Is he an All-Star this year? Or is he Mike Trout?
Yeah.
In California with, a huge fan base. I mean, it's just, if you let the industry kind of take the reins on nominating the guys, and then, like you said, I love the idea of having the fans, vote on who's starting. I like that idea. But, yeah, the industry needs to decide, and it's pretty obvious right now based on this year's, roster that we're trotting out there.
So, Joe, I know you've been itching here because we have a good list put together that you came up with of guys that you feel would have actually been the All-Star team. You want to start with your AL picks of who you would actually have put in the game over some of the options that are available to fans right now?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really even look at the fan voting because I don't count it. I think it's ridiculous. And I don't understand why the MLB changed its rule during 2018 where the fans get to vote for every player. It used to just be for one player, which I feel like is a cool thing. The fans can get one guy into the All-Star game, whatever. But I think from the AL, I think Brandon Lowe, he's been arguably the best second baseman in the game this year, at least through the All-Star break. And he's not even in consideration. Jeremy Pena is another one, even though I don't think he would get the starting nod on if I was manager. But Jeremy Pena has been short of incredible. He has been the main reason why the Astros are a 50-win team, and somehow he can't sniff the All-Star game.
That one's crazy to me, too, because the Astros are one of the best teams in the AL, if not arguably the best team in the AL, and they have 0 starters. Jeremy Pena has a 4.7 WAR, and he didn't even crack the top tier of voters. Like that's a gross miscalculation of allowing fans to vote right there. I mean that's crazy to me. Him and James Wood, to me, when you look at the overall statistics and you look at the WAR and you look at the value there, those two are clear as day, top tier All-Star players. And then you have Ellie De La Cruz in there as well, who got snubbed. But like those guys, all these guys that we're talking about right now are major stars of the game and having phenomenal years and still being snubbed out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense why they would change that rule. It shouldn't be a popularity contest. And I think it's cool to reward people for their first half. But in reality, it's usually the same faces for 40 to 50% of the roster, and then you got another 40% that have a really good first half, and then you have a 10% that get in just on who they are. I think the last one for me would be Junior Caminero at third, who also, Alex Bregman, I think, is leading the pack, and he's been injured for a month and a half. So, I don't know. It's odd, but that's who I would go with. The only person I would for sure think gets a start, and they have it right, is Cal Raleigh.
I'll throw a name out there. How about Matt Olson leading the position in WAR and FWAR, and the game's in his hometown. He's been the outside of Acuna's hot stretch when he came back. He's been the only consistent player we've had all year, holding it down in the middle of the lineup. He's a household name, and it's in his hometown, and he's leading the position in FWAR and WAR for the year. He's been a quality hitter, the best defensive first baseman in baseball so far throughout the first half. So, how about a little hometown love for Matt Olson?
Matt Olson arguably had a case over Freddie Freeman. I would give you that. I'd give you that.
Yeah, but I think the All-Star game, you also get the tenured guys who've done it over a long time. If they still have comparable stats, you give them the edge. And so I think that's why Freeman would get the edge over Olson. But statistically, no one's been better than Pete Alonso at first base in the NL.
Yeah, Pete Alonso's he's top one. I mean, if you're looking at starters for the game and you don't vote Pete Alonso into that spot, I don't know what you're doing. This doesn't make any sense. But I will say, when you're looking at the next guy there, I do think one of the only reasons Freddie Freeman got the nod over Matt Olson is he plays for the Dodgers, and they've got all of Japan basically voting
Infinity
for them.
votes.
You've got this massive fan base that's just voting in every single Dodgers player that there is. when you look at Freddie Freeman, he's had a good year, but he just hit his first homer in like 2 months or something crazy like that the other day.
He's been on the not hot list here the last few weeks.
So it's not so much about just the homers, though, right? Like, the power's still going to be there at some point. He has a 312 average and an 895 OPS. But I do think when you look at Matt Olson, you got to also factor in the defensive play there. And he is arguably the best defensive first baseman in baseball. And on top of it, he hits with the best of them. And he's played all year. So why does somebody like Acuna get in who hasn't played all year? Why is he the Atlanta face for this year and not Matt Olson, who's played every single day the entire year? I'm
pretty sure he has the longest current streak for most games played in a row. I think it's up to like 700 games in a row, something crazy like that.
700? Jesus.
I think so.
That's crazy. We'll have to fact check that one.
I'm doing it right now.
I hope it is 7. That would be wild to me. That's awesome.
I'd say another one is Eugenio Suarez for the NL.
Yeah, 700 consecutive games, boys.
700. Wow. That's hard to do these days.
It's very hard to do.
And Eugenio Suarez. Eugenio. I actually think he should have gotten in here as well. Manny Machado and Max Muncy don't blow your socks off when you're looking at them as your two options at third base.
Bryce Terang, second base, Milwaukee Brewers.
Is he on the Joe All-Star game list?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Also on the fantasy team.
The most egregious one that you had to pick from right now, if you go on and you're doing your phase 2 voting, the one that's most egregious is the outfield for the AL.
Yeah, the AL outfield is just tragic.
It's disgusting. I have to choose between Javier Baez, Steven Kwan, and Mike Trout, Mike Trout's got a 788 OPS, a 77 OPS for Steven Kwan, a 783 OPS for Javier Baez. And Mike Trout missed half the damn year already. And he's hitting 230.
Popularity contest, dude. That's what it's become.
Crazy.
Yeah, Byron Buxton's getting shafted at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Absolutely
been out of his mind from start to now, and he's nowhere to be found. It's crazy.
And even
The only
Julio
other guy
Rodriguez,
that's
I would
getting
take over a handful of those
Trout.
guys.
I'd take him over Trout right now. At least in the All-Star.
And
game.
Javi Baez.
The other one that's interesting is the designated hitter. But I think this is one of the only ones that is a pretty clear cut for me. And I think Ryan O'Hearn for the AL, I gave him the nod over Ben Rice as well. And I think one of the only reasons for me is like Ryan O'Hearn if you had told me at the beginning of the year that he was going to be the best player on the Baltimore Orioles team loaded with all that talent, I would have called you absolutely crazy. And to see the season that he's put together so far, to me, that rewards you for we got to reward you for being that type of dude on a team that's struggling. And he's basically trying to keep them afloat.
Yeah, but I mean, he shouldn't be starting if Devers was still in the AL.
Well, that's a moot point though, because he's not in the AL.
Yeah, he's been in the NL for 2 weeks.
Just hey, reel it in, boys. We're not talking about Devers this week. We decided last week. Yeah, reel it in.
Right. If we do want to talk a little Boston, Bregman and the Ramirez choice. So those are your two options for third base in the AL. Ramirez has played more games this year, but I went with Bregman. Bregman's got almost the same amount of WAR in like half the games this year. So that just tells you how incredible he was to start out this year. He has a 938 OPS with 11 home runs. Jose Ramirez has played twice as many games with twice as many plate appearances, and he's at 13 homers with an 871 OPS. So to me, that's a no-brainer. I think Bregman not only was the best third baseman in baseball before he got hurt, but I think once he comes back, he's probably going to be the same.
What are the swipes looking like for Ramirez?
That's a good question. I know he gets around a little bit on the base paths.
He's got at least like 12 to 15.
Yeah, he gets his running now.
He has this season. He's got 21 on the base paths.
Yep. I'm
What's
taking
Bregman
Ramirez.
got? Like -2?
Yeah, I'm taking Ramirez there.
I think when Bregman signed with the Red Sox, I looked at his like speed rating, and it was like one of the lowest in baseball.
His sprint
which is
speed?
funny because I wonder if that's effort or if he actually is just that slow.
He's a vet, dude. He's earned the right
He's a
to
vet,
take
yeah,
a little
sure.
jog.
He's
That is
31.
Yeah.
He's 31.
That doesn't make you that old these
That's
days.
what I'm saying.
Byron
Yeah,
Buxton's
come on.
31, and he's like leading the league in sprint speed right now. He's a freak, though.
Yeah, he's a monster. I'm really disappointed we don't get to see him in there. I think he's probably one of the bigger snubs, but yeah, I just keep coming back to that James Wood one. I saw his stat. If you line his stats up next to Teoscar Hernandez, there's not a single statistic, even games played, nothing. There's not a single statistic that favors Teoscar Hernandez, and yet we've got to pick between him and Andy Pajes.
Andy Pajes is nice.
He's nice, but
He's not James Wood nice.
no.
Well, he's also
not.
James Wood also isn't on my fantasy team, so
He's on your
PCA?
fantasy team?
Pajes is, yeah. Pages.
Yeah.
What about PCA? PCA versus Juan Soto. We kind of had this conversation a bit ago. There's some differing opinions maybe here, but I'll line it up. Juan Soto, while he did have a slower start to the year, really has come on strong, back to being basically Juan Soto. He's got a 258 average, 20 homers, 47 RBIs, and a 901 OPS. Pete Crow is at 262 average, 21 homers, 62 RBIs, and an 836 OPS.
And a ton of swipes.
And a ton of swipes.
And gold glove defense.
Joe,
Yeah, I mean,
who would you take there?
Yeah, I mean, earlier when you and I discussed this earlier, I was saying Soto, but I think after hearing your
Yeah.
case, I think I'm going to have to move off the mark and take PCA, and I own both of them in fantasy, so it's no sweat off my back here. But I think I'm going to have to go PCA. The swipes, the defense, he's an electric factory, and I think there's just a little recency bias towards Soto because he's been so hot lately. But PCA's put together a heck of a first half and probably deserves it.
Yeah, I think I would go with Soto just because he's Juan Soto. Ideally, you get both. But what's going on with the Mets fans not voting in their boy?
Well, I mean, apparently there's just maybe all the votes are going to PCA because he was an ex-Met. Ex-Met prospect.
Yep, that's right.
A little bit of love there. People feeling good for him. I don't know how you put Soto in over PCA if those were your last two options. I think if you're looking at it from a this year standpoint, and that's how you're supposed to be looking at this when you vote these in. I'm not voting for Juan Soto because he's Juan Soto.
Yeah.
I know he's had a good year, but when I look at PCA, it would be incredibly wrong to leave him out, considering the fact that he's got more homers, more RBIs, he's got a better batting average, his OPS is almost in line, and he's stolen 25 bases. And if you're looking at a defensive statistic, it's not even comparable. So
Not even close.
You can't rule that out either when you're looking at
Yeah.
an all-around player. PCA is a true five-tool player, and he's performing as a five-tool player with an incredible WAR as well. I don't know how you put Soto in there.
Playing
That
a
was-
much harder position too.
Definitely more demanding for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it seems like because I was on the Soto train earlier, but after hearing that, dude, I mean, the case is pretty rock solid there on PCA, and then the same could be said about Kyle Tucker. So shout out to the Cubs for having almost running the table on the NL outfield.
Yeah, the one guy that's not going to get any love, obviously, and I mean rightfully so because he's technically a DH this year. But Seiya Suzuki has arguably been the best player on the Cubs this season.
He's having a year.
22 homers, a 258 average with an 853 OPS, and I think he's leading the NL or maybe second in the NL in RBIs with 69 already this season.
Yeah, dude, he's having a year.
not a bad
I
year.
mean, the Cubs offense just has been like absolutely firing. So all of those guys.
And now slowing down at the wrong time here, but
True, true.
it kind of is what it is. Let's talk about James Wood again real fast. So he was just walked in a game 4 times. Intentionally walked, right?
Intentionally walked.
Intentionally walked 4 times in a game. This is what people should be doing to Aaron Judge, and they're not doing it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mentioned before, he leads the NL in home runs, OBP, slugging, OPS, and WAR. They clearly are. Teams are clearly scared of him enough to tie him up there with Barry Bonds for most intentional walks in a game. Is this going to be something that we're going to see more of, you guys think, with some of these star hitters, where it's just starting to make more sense to say, you know, put him on first and let's just deal with it, deal with his teammate and not let this guy beat us?
Yeah, it depends. If Dylan Cruz is hitting behind you, then yeah, probably.
What I
If
think
it's
is
James
interesting.
Wood and Dylan Cruz hitting behind him, I'm intentionally walking and then going out and then K hunting Dylan Cruz.
Well, I just think it's interesting. Even when Bonds was getting intentionally walked, like, why not beam him in the ribs one time at least? Like, if you're gonna put him on first, like, at least set
Make
the
him earn
tone.
it.
Yeah.
Our local dinosaur has spoken.
Yeah. Our team dinosaur here, old school head. I guess my thought goes back a little bit to what we were just talking about with the All-Star game. So how is James Wood getting the Barry Bonds treatment, but he's somehow not an All-Star?
That tells the whole story right there. I mean, is Bonds the last time we've seen that?
Yeah, that's actually the record. Is 4 intentional walks in a game.
That tells the story. That tells you what the industry thinks of James Wood. Guys that get paid millions of dollars to play the game that we're all fans of. That tells you what they think of him, and he's not even an option in the All-Star voting.
That's crazy. So I guess the question comes down to a little bit on this too. Is this respect by walking him 4 times, or is it a bit of cowardice from the team perspective of saying we don't think our guy can pitch to you?
I think it's neither. I think the Nationals are just awful, except for James Wood.
Just take anybody else.
And so just whoever's up there, we'll take our chances with them.
So is he? I mean, does that make him the most feared hitter in baseball right now?
Hasn't happened to anybody else.
Yeah, I haven't seen Judge walk 4 times
I haven't.
unintentional.
It's definitely good transitive property for sure.
Yeah. I do want to mention something real quick before we go to the next topic. So, talking about smart baseball, right? And managers making good moves and walking guys that they probably should. I watched some of the most fundamental cool baseball. I think it was last night in the Rangers game, where the Rangers, they came up at the bottom of the 11th, and they bunted the ghost runner over to third.
Let's go.
Right. And then, so I was like, wow, this is like old school baseball. Talk about old school baseball. Actually putting down the sack bunt, got him over to third, and it was great. I think Jonah Heim did it. So you got Bochy over there. You know, he's all fired up. Now, on the flip side, who were they playing last night? Seattle. On the flip side, Seattle then then they intentionally walk the next batter to set up the double play. And I was like, man, you could just see the chess moves going from the managers. And I was like, this is so great. And it actually ended up working out for Seattle because they ended up getting out of that jam because they got to face Josh Young, who's been horrible, struck him out, and then I think flied out the next guy and ended up getting out of it. But I thought it was pretty cool baseball. It kind of felt like old times there for a minute.
I remember those days.
Yeah, it's a lost art, dude. You don't see that very often.
Speaking about old school guys, or maybe guys that are just baseball dudes, we had an incredible pitching matchup this last week. Paul Skenes, Mr. Skenes himself, and Jacob Misarowski, who is arguably one of the hottest young pitchers in baseball. The dude's an absolute menace on the mound. He throws like 106. It's
Every
absolutely
pitch.
crazy. Every pitch. So they had a head-to-head showdown on June 25th. So Misarowski's he's 23. Obviously, Paul Skenes is Paul Skenes. It was a really like anticipated matchup, but it kind of fell a little bit flat because Skenes did not pitch up to Skenes' stature, I guess. While Misarowski went out there and absolutely just put on a show, and the kid looks incredible.
Yeah, Mizorowski. How do we say that? Give me an enunciation here, AJ.
So I believe, and this is just what I'm going off of from what I've heard. Jacob Mizorowski. I think Mizorowski. That's what I'm going with.
Okay, well, Mizorowski came out and threw 12 pitches above 100 mile an hour in the opening inning, 19 triple-digit pitches in the game. Yeah. Scattered 2 walks and 2 singles with 8 Ks on just 74 pitches, so was being pretty efficient there on 5 scoreless. He's incredible, dude. His cutter is 98 mile an hour. He takes some off with like a sweeper, slider, and the fastball is just absolutely electric.
Well, I don't know what you're supposed to do with the guy that throws 103 and then he throws you his changeup and it's 80 or it's 93, 94 miles an hour.
I mean, you guess. You've got, you know, when guys have stuff like that, like you have to guess and like hope you guess right. He's 3 starts into his career right now, I believe. He's allowed 2 runs on 3 hits and 7 walks with 19 punchies in 16 innings in the big league. Opponents are hitting .061 against this guy. Professionals cannot hit him. So yeah, dude, he's like looking like the future of you thought Paul Skenes was the prospect. Look out. You never know.
Yeah. This might be the guy.
Might be the guy. In Skenes' defense, really quick, this was something that I saw. The 2 hits that he allowed that scored the 2 runs, they were hit 35.8 miles per hour infield hit and 67.2 miles per hour double. So he also ran into some. Yeah, he ran into a lot of bad luck. He's still Paul Skenes. It's hard to hit him hard.
Yeah, it's a rare poor outing for him. I wouldn't read too much into that, but just maybe looking at the other side of that, right? Like we might be having this discussion for quite a while on who's better, Mizorowski or Skenes.
Yeah, very well.
And they get to face each other a lot, being in the same division.
Yes. Yeah, between him, Chase Burns, Paul Skenes, Hunter Green. I mean,
Central did.
And now Cade Horton's up with the Cubs as well. I mean, there's just going to be so much.
Who?
Cade Horton was the top prospect for the Cubs there for a bit. He's now pitching. He did get lit up a little bit, but I think he's still got under a 3 or 4 ERA.
He's got under a 6 ERA. He's doing good.
Yeah, he's under a 6.
It's just classic NL juggernauts, dude. It's what you run into in this league.
It's tough. Not everybody can face weak lineups in the AL like those
the
guys.
Sox. The Sox, casual. It's like playing. We're all playing Call of Duty ranked in the National League, and everybody in the AL is playing casuals right now.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe the NL plays video games and for war, and the AL actually goes to war. But the M Train has flamethrower stuff that I do not want to hit. I would definitely want to sit that day.
Yes.
Watch from the dugout in amazement of what he can do with a baseball.
I watched him pitch live. I think I brought this up on one of our previous podcasts. I watched him pitch live against the Charlotte Knights. He actually got touched up a little bit that game, which I was surprised about. But I mean, his stuff was still so disgusting. I mean, he just has a devastating slider too. The guy gets 7.7 feet of extension.
Yeah,
it's absolutely
it's the
outrageous.
velo. It's like top 1 percentile velo and like the very best extension. You combine those two, and the ball is on you in a hurry. Can't be comfortable.
His average fastball in that outing against Skenes was 99.5 miles per hour.
Gas.
That's his average.
Yeah.
And I think you said earlier he threw 19 of the game's 20 fastest pitches against Paul Skenes, by the way.
Yeah.
like it's just nuts. It's nuts what we're seeing from him. The league's in good form with pitchers over the next, call it at least 5 or 6 years. With all the guys that we just mentioned, you got the Schwellenbachs who are dealing. It's fun to watch some of these young pitchers just go to work. And then once Roki Sasaki's back, I think that's going to just add another thing. And then there's a bunch of guys waiting in the wings right now in the minors too that are going to be coming up and just being dirty here soon. So pitching is at an all-time value right now for MLB teams.
I mean, everybody's dirty, dude. It's like, everybody has just like absolute electric stuff. And then there's guys like Ranger Suarez who are just out here getting after it, and they're still pitching. So it's funny seeing guys like that. You got Paul Skenes going one night on prime time, and then the next night you see Ranger Suarez throwing 80 poo at you all night.
And somehow you have guys like Cal Raleigh and Judge still hitting 60+ homers.
How do they do it, dude? It's crazy.
I don't get it. Does that make it more impressive, Joe? Like the fact that we've got such high quality pitching, and you still got guys like Kyle Raleigh going out there and smashing, and like being on pace for 60+ homers.
Yeah, I don't know how any of these hitters hit with the stuff. I don't know how the pitchers get touched.
Yeah,
it's crazy. You can only dream of it. It's video game stuff.
Yeah.
Talking about video game stuff and things I'd never thought I'd see in 2025, the Marlins are on a 7-game winning streak. They've won 7 straight games, 9 straight on the road. During this streak, they've averaged 7.4 runs per game. So these boys are slugging. They're hitting, and they're really. I think they swept 2 good teams too. Giants and Diamondbacks swept them both. So
and then right before that, they took 2 out of 3 from Atlanta.
Watch out, man. Are the Marlins a little slept on here?
No, I'm going to say
guy.
no. I'm going to say there's some talent there, obviously, but no, and that's why they're selling, and it's only going to get worse, with their positioning and their...
Where do we have them right now in the standings? Where do we have them?
I think they were a half a game behind the Braves as of yesterday.
They're bad. Yeah, they're bad.
Okay. So I guess the question becomes, right, if you're Miami, and let's say you just keep ripping off some wins here before the All-Star break, and you get down to the trade deadline, and you're sitting there and you're staring down the Mets, and you're like 4 or 5 games behind the Mets maybe, like, do you still sell? Or do you, I mean, I don't know. I guess the question would be, do you actually believe that your team is good, or do you think that you're just kind of getting a good roll of the dice here?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the way this league is, dude, it's like you have to... It's just hard to get over the hump like that, and obviously everybody's mission is like getting over the hump and not just being like not being mid. You have to be great to win the World Series. So if the Marlins are smart, I think they're going to sell house and just keep building for the future. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, and that's how you rebuild a roster is you have to suck for a while. So and you have to let go of quality vets and get a return and hope some of them land. So the Marlins definitely need to be focused on, their players. Loki, this is great for them because they need all of their guys performing well right now, right before they get dealt. So stock's high.
Except for Sandy.
Except for Sandy. Still struggling, dude. Can't put it together.
Yeah. Joe, can they realistically make some noise, though, and just put themselves into a situation where like teams that are like on the fence on the wild card would start at least looking at them and going like, hey, we can't take these guys easy anymore?
I think anything's possible in the NL. It's trash. So besides the Dodgers. So I mean, no, I mean I think the Marlins are pretty bad. And I guess with the new rules, you can't really plan to lose because you get like, you can only be in last place so many years or you lose draft picks. Like I think the Rockies are in a position where they're finishing, they're going to lose their top draft pick because the new Astros rule. So it could be a good thing for the Marlins. Maybe they finish like, just above the Braves and then they get to keep their draft pick.
I'm in favor of relegation. Knock the Rockies down to AAA for a year and let's see, and then they got to fight their way back up to the majors.
It is crazy. Relegation is actually pretty genius.
Yeah, it
is. From the European, the one thing soccer got right. It is a pretty unique way to have your team consistently performing. It's better for the fans too.
Yes,
so,
for sure.
But yeah, no, the Marlins 7-game win streak. When I saw that, I was absolutely shocked and stunned. I still can't name more than one player on their team.
Xavier Edwards.
Xavier Edwards is dirty. Kyle Stowers, dude. Kyle Stowers is having a year, man.
No, I'm sure he is. He plays in the NL. He plays in the minor league system.
Ramirez, low-key having a year, dude.
Another stud.
Yeah,
another stud.
Yeah, they're loaded.
Baseball like 800
They're
feet
loaded.
the other day.
They're loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why aren't they on the All-Star team? Where's all their All-Star votes? Where
Yeah,
are these guys? Where's Xavier Edwards?
I don't think they have enough fans down there in Miami to compete with the Dodgers, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
So let's stick in the NL East, though. Let's talk about the other side of it. The New York Metropolitans. My God, what is going on with these guys? At one point, they were in a streak where I think they had lost 11 of 13 or 11 of 12. They're right now in their last 10, 3-7. They just got swept by the Pirates in a series where they were outscored 30-4. Let that sink in for a second for a team that is first place in the wild card at 48-37. That's one, unacceptable, and it shows there's a little bit of lack of effort right now from the Mets, because I understand from a pitching standpoint, they're a bit banged up, but this lineup has just fallen into mediocrity, and it makes no sense, and they got to get it together. Joe, I mean, like, what are we looking at here? Is this team bound for failure at this point, and they're just going to pull off the ultimate Mets metting?
Yeah, it's like we've been talking about all year. And you look at their schedule moving forward. They got Milwaukee, Yankees, Baltimore, who's been playing better as of late, Kansas City, and then after the All-Star break, they have Cincinnati, and then they get the Angels, who's a 40-win team, and then they got San Fran, San Diego, San Fran, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Seattle, and then they get to play Washington. So the days of just playing Washington and the Rockies are over, and now they have to actually play middle of the pack to playoff contender teams, and they are showing their true colors. And it's definitely a stretch where, if you're a Mets fan, how many of those series do you see yourself winning at the moment? Because if you get swept by the Pirates,
You're nervous.
you can lose to anyone on any weekend.
Yeah, you definitely got to be a little nervous right now if you're the Mets. I think the other thing too is, right, like, I called this out a while ago. We posted some clips. I had Mets fans telling me that I was delusional. I was a clown. I had no idea what I'm talking about. I don't watch enough baseball. And my thing is when I go back and I look at some of the statistics that were being thrown out at me during that stretch, and I said that they were overachieving. Like, you go back and look now, even without the injuries, they were starting to fade on the starting pitching. It's not like these guys, like, were just bound for greatness and then they got hurt and now they're pitching bumps. Also, if you're a Mets, explain this to me. Why can you turn Griffin Canning, who's a 5 ERA career guy, into a stud, but you can't turn Frankie Montas into one? Or you can't turn any of these other guys that are replacing these injured pitchers? If you got such a lab down there, why are y'all falling apart? Doesn't make any sense to me. So, I mean, at the end of the day, your argument of, this is the best, we have the best pitching lab, and this is why we turn guys into studs, even the bad ones, and we're bound for greatness with this pitching staff, which, by the way, was horribly assembled. You're kind of reaping what you sow right now with what's going on with the Mets.
The writing was on the wall, dude. The writing's been on the wall all off season, going into the preseason. The Mets, they didn't address their rotation, And how long is Clay Holmes gonna? I mean, is he gonna give you 200 innings? He's never done that, So is his fall off imminent too? It very well could be. It wouldn't be shocking. He's a closer that's starting. So, I don't have a ton of confidence in him, being a Bulldog and going out there every fifth game for the rest of the year. So, chalk him up. What happens when that IL stint pops up? And Griffin Canning's done for the year with the Achilles, which was sad. I saw that. It was really nasty. But yeah, I mean, the writing was kind of on the wall for this team, and it's like the Mets, dude. They're just like, they have bad luck. Bad shit happens to the Mets. I don't know why.
Constantly.
But it just does. And since 1901, there's been one team to score 30 runs, allow 4 or fewer runs, and strike out 25-plus batters in a 3-game series. And it was the Pirates this weekend versus the Mets. So just like a historically bad 3-game series. And that's coming from a Braves guy who's watched some really bad 3-game series this year. And this is just, it's out of control. The middle of that lineup has to go. If Lindor's been struggling lately, he's cooled down. Pete's cooled down. Soto's kind of taken off here lately, but everybody else is like a black hole. They're young catcher gets sent down to figure it out because he's hitting, he can't, he's a black hole. He's getting sent down. Nemo's been whatever. Vientos has been hurt. Vientos was supposed to be, hitting fifth for them and being an anchor in the middle of the lineup, and he's been awful all year. So I don't know, man. The Mets record, I think, shows a little bit more positive vibes than the current state of things. The current state of things is a lot worse than what the record is reflecting.
Yeah, they've got problems, and the cracks are showing. Again, to your point, I mean, how long can you realistically rely on Clay Holmes to be your ace of your staff right now? Because I don't know, Kodai Senga is a stud. He's an absolute stud. He's had a 1.47 ERA before he got hurt, but it's just that. I mean, he's a walking, injury waiting to happen, and it just happens every year with these guys, man. And if I'm a Mets fan, I think instead of being outwardly upset at people talking, poorly about the Mets, I think what they should be doing is saying, yo, what did you guys do in the offseason? You went and got our lineup is studded, but you completely ignored all of the pitching. And I said it I think in the offseason, I said, who's pitching for this team, dude? You got Tyler McGill, David Peterson, Clay Holmes, Griffin Canning. You had Senga, but he didn't, again, we couldn't really count on him. Yep. And then at the time, it was Paul Blackburn.
Who's been awful.
Who's been he has a 7.71 ERA this year. And by the way, he's a career high ERA guy.
Yep. He's never been good.
And then you have Frankie Montas. So that was like that's who you rolled out with a team that features Lindor, Soto, Alonso. Like, what are you doing? And I understand that the bullpen is kind of dirty in some ways, but dude, you can't just ignore starting pitching.
And speaking of injuries, I mean, at what point, it seems like every year, dude, no matter, since I've been just, laser focused on baseball, every year the Mets staff deals with so many injuries. And, the Mets faithful are always talking about their lab. How about the lab keeps these guys on the field? How about the lab works on a little bit of recovery or something? I don't know. I mean, I know the Griffin Canning thing, you can't really chalk that up to them. But the arm issues, over the last 10 years in New York have been, it's a scroll. That list is a scroll. And, at some point the lab has to hold a little responsibility for that to keep your guys on the field.
Joe, are they going to go after anybody to try and shore up this pitching staff at the deadline here?
Yes.
They have to, right?
They
don't have a choice.
They can only put so much lipstick on the pig.
Real.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, the Mets will buy, and I think the grand plan was always next year.
Yeah.
They got Soto, that their lineup was weak, really. Only 1 through 4 is solidified. They got old guys in the lineup. They got trash arms in the starting rotation, and they have a bullpen that can compete. So I think if you're them, you look for pieces that can move you in the next year, and maybe you sneak into the playoffs.
Speaking of another team that kind of has injury issues of getting guys on the field and keeping them there is the Dodgers when we talk about pitching rotations. Lucky for them, they got one back in Shohei Ohtani, and the guy's just been an absolute stud since he's come back. Obviously, there's rust there. He's given up a run or two, but he just threw 101 miles an hour. 101.7 miles an hour on his fastball. The hardest pitch of his MLB career, by the way, with his new robotic arm. He's thrown 100+ miles per hour in each of his last 4 starts. Is he back? The guy hits 50 homers, steals 50 bags, and throws 101.7 on the mound. What do you do with him?
I mean,
stretch him out, baby. Stretch him out.
I still want to see him in the bullpen.
Yeah,
Closer Shohei.
I think he's starting right now just because they can control it, and he can do his same routine, and he doesn't have to be rushed into anything out of the bullpen at the moment. But I don't see him being a starter in the future. I think this is like his minor league routine, and they're having him be the opener per se for him to get his work in, and then they will see how it goes. But he is also Shohei Ohtani, so anything is possible. And I believe he has thrown, this is the hardest pitch he's thrown since the World Baseball Classic, and it was also against your boy Vinny P in the World Baseball Classic. Where
he's the only one that's seen it twice now, right?
Yep.
Or seen it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would lay caution. It would be a shame for him to go down again, but I mean, he hit the entire year when he was getting Tommy John and recovering, so I guess it really doesn't matter.
There is a little concern there for me. I understand the velocity's back and it looks really nice, but is he doing too much? Like, I feel like I understand you got to test the arm out a little bit and try and get back, but like, I don't know, man. 4 starts in, coming off of that long of an absence of pitching, and then to come out and basically just be throwing your arm as hard as you can throw it, just to do it. I mean, it's not like he has to. I mean, he doesn't really have to ramp it up that bad. I'd just be worried if I'm the Dodgers. I already said originally I thought they were rushing him along a little bit. I didn't think that he needed to pitch before the All-Star break. They could have taken their time with it. Time will tell. I will say, again, the Dodgers don't have a good track record of keeping pitchers on the field, so it wouldn't shock me if, God forbid, something happens. But this is, again, kind of par for the course with the Dodgers and their pitching injuries.
I think it's going to kind of depend on the health of the rest of that rotation, too, kind of what we see them do with Ohtani. I mean, if Snell and Glasnow and these guys, aren't throwing and Ohtani's sitting there healthy, begging to start and is stretched out, are they going to be, how long are you going to be able to tell him, no, you're a bullpen guy before, you just have to run him out there and see what happens?
I guess, too,
with everybody else on the,
Ohtani's better than pitching Knack or whatever that one guy's
yeah, I mean,
name
if you've
is.
got half your rotation on the shelf and you got Shohei Ohtani sitting there, who's the Rolls Royce of pitching, at some point you just send your Rolls Royce out there and see what happens. Like Joe said, he gets hurt, he can keep hitting.
Yeah,
he did already show that. He did definitely showed that. So I just think
I think he hit a 440 bomb out the other night too.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers and. Sounds like the Mets. Pitching's the new running back, where they want to get the most explosive years out of you for a short period of time, and then they'll find someone else in the system like a Misikowski, and you get replaced, and they never have to pay you. So it's not about longevity anymore. It's about how great you can be for 600 innings.
Yeah.
And if you're a prospect, you take your cup of tea in the big leagues and have your 3-year career and then get out, or, does pitching finally get back and have a place in baseball again?
Yeah. By the way, I remembered something that I was going to come up with. We're going to start a new segment next week, and it's going to be one name in the MLB that Joe has to pronounce, and we'll see.
That's going to be an electric segment. The people are going to go nuts for this segment.
It's going to be awesome. But yeah, that's a future iteration. We're going to find one guy each week that Joe's got to guy's last name.
I mean, I love new segments, so
yeah, this will be great.
There's going to be bets, dude. The Vegas is going to start getting bets out there. There's going to be a line out there for if Joe gets it right or not.
FanDuel, if you're listening, man, hit us up. We might have a new segment for you guys. Trade deadline, it's coming up, and we kind of just hit on it a little bit with some of these teams. But now I'm hearing some new names out there, at least in the last couple of weeks, that are starting to garner some interest, and maybe teams are interested in trading them. The one that was interesting, kind of, maybe a little shocking to me, was Alex Bregman. I understand their position of the roster construction, and thinking that they could probably get a nice haul for him. But at the same time, you just signed the dude to a pretty good contract, by the way, and he was hitting out of his mind when he was there. So I don't know what you gain really if you're the Red Sox by moving him. Joe, maybe you can shed some light on that, because to me, it felt like that came out of nowhere for no reason. I'm not really sure.
Well, it is a player option, so really he's on a 1-year deal, even though he's making $40 million. Yeah, we'll see what the Red Sox front office does, but it would be hard for the Red Sox to say no to an incredible package at the moment.
Yeah.
I think
the problem though is you have a bunch of young guys already.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, there's no right answer after the Devers move. I mean, anything's fair game now. You can go complete rebuild. You can plug and play. I think it'd be cool to see Bregman, especially how he's hitting, which might be because he's playing at Fenway, but see him on like a Tigers or Cubs in a playoff contender, a serious playoff contender, or even back on the Astros.
Yeah.
But I just don't think they're going to be able to get the package to move him. And I think the Red Sox do want to keep him there long term. And I don't know what it says. They tried this with John Lester, and John Lester eventually ended up signing with the Cubs. So I think you have to learn from your past mistakes if you're the Red Sox. But I have heard a bunch of buzz on Bregman, and it would be shocking to the Red Sox faithful if he got traded.
I will say though, as a Cubs fan, obviously it would be really awesome to see him be paired back up with Kyle Tucker for a year. I think for any team out there, it makes the most sense for the Cubs. They got Matt Shaw playing at third base, who they don't. I mean, we can just kind of call it what it is. He doesn't look awesome there, and his bat is just not what I thought it was going to be at the major league level. But at the end of the day, you got one of the richest farms right now. If you're the Cubs, you got a ton of dudes that are ranked in the top 100 MLB prospects. Start moving them. They got nowhere to go. That's the thing. You're not beating out a PCA. If they can re-sign Tucker, which, by the way, this type of move would be showing Tucker we're serious about winning, which is something that he's already kind of said is one of the reasons that he's teetered on signing a new contract. This shows him like straight up, hey, we're serious about winning. We're going to bring your buddy Bregman over here who's hitting lights out at Fenway, and he's going to be our new starting third baseman. I don't – to me, it's a no-brainer. If he's available, you go out and do it if you're the Cubs. Now the question becomes, why is he available? I understand he's on the 1 year with the player option, but everything I've read from him and his agent and everything else is, hey guys, we're ready to sign an extension. Like he's like, I'm here I'll sign long term. It sounds like he's almost yelling at the Red Sox and telling them that. And instead of looking at it from like he's off the table, all I'm hearing is, hey, dangling him out there and seeing what's going to come back.
I think it's because the Red Sox kind of showed their hand here. I mean, when you Joe mentioned a couple weeks ago that the Sox were going to try to be like buyers and sellers, but when you're buyers and sellers, you're not trading. That would be like the Cubs trading Kyle Tucker this year. It's not happening. When you sell Devers, you have to be committed to the rebuild. To me, if I'm a Sox fan, I don't want to be stuck in, a perpetual state of being mid. I want to be. We have the talent to like truly rebuild and then set ourselves up for a huge window of success where we could be like, the elite team in this league. And, what it takes committing to one or the other. So like on the Red Sox side, you need to commit to the rebuild. Duran needs to go. Bregman needs to go. These guys need to get traded. You need to bring in Shaw. You need to bring in some prospects and create, an extended window for 2 or 3 years down the road when all of these guys, get some plate appearances under their belt and find out who they are at the bigs. And then on the Cubs side, you've got the total opposite. Right now is such a pivotal moment for the Cubs to declare themselves, hey, we're going to be elite. We're going to be a premier organization in this league. They have the ability to do it right now. They could trade for Bregman. They can sign Tucker, throw the contract down on Tucker, force his hand. We're doing everything we can do for you. We want to give you your money. We want to go get you a vet to win right now who's your boy from Houston. You've already won with him. And be aggressive. You've got tons of money. You're the Chicago Cubs. You're one of the richest organizations in the league. And, people wonder how serious you are about winning. Yeah. You can't leave that up. You can't have Kyle Tucker questioning whether or not you're dedicated to being the best and expect him to re-sign with you when he could go get the money anywhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the Cubs need to make a move, and so do the Sox. Sox need to sell. Cubs need to buy and extend.
I'm not arguing any point in that. I do think that the Cubs need to buy more than the Sox need to sell. That would be my take. I think that there needs to be no team more aggressive at the deadline than the Chicago Cubs. If you're serious about winning, and you think that you have a squad this year that can go and actually get it done, then you need to go all in. You gotta improve the pitching, and you got to get another guy in the field, particularly third base.
And if you're serious about keeping your, Kyle Tucker, the face of your franchise. I mean, if you traded, Cam Smith, unanimous top prospect for him midseason, and you're, kind of kicking the can down the road on this instead of, making that could be a really, really good move. If Kyle Tucker leaves in the offseason and you don't win the ring this year because you weren't, aggressive at the deadline, then that turns into a terrible decision.
Yeah. Red Sox are 7 games out of first place right now in the division. Is that far enough down to say we're just throwing in the towel here a bit? I mean, if you get rid of Bregman, you still got a lot of talent and a lot of young guys on that squad, but I don't think you have enough to actually compete.
You're mid
without.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope they don't do it. But then again, if Bregman wants 4 years, $160 million, I also don't want that either.
Yeah.
What do you want? You're the Red Sox guy. I'd love to hear what you think. If you're the GM, what are you doing? Are you selling and gathering as much like high upside talent as you can to and fill out the pieces later whenever what all of these guys are and they're ready to win when Meyer and Campbell and when these studs are ready to win, which they're not right now, they're puppies, so are you going to go get all the upside talent, or are you going to hold on to guys like Bregman to be mid?
Well, I mean, the Sox are only 2.5 games out of the wild card. So
that's what makes it tough. That's what makes it a tough conversation.
And Bregman is the unanimous leader of the dugout, but if someone was willing to take Story's contract on top of it, that would be intriguing to me. If someone was willing to take Matsutaka Yoshida's contract, that would be intriguing to me. But, I mean, ultimately they have to replace Devers, which there's only really one. And you look at the free agent market, and the only person that is comparable to a bat would be Kyle Tucker, if he makes it to free agency. And the Red Sox don't need an outfielder, so Kyle Tucker's really doesn't fit the Red Sox portfolio for players to get. And so then they have to go to the trade market, and they've already traded most of their prospect pool that hasn't been called up or graduated. So they've kind of put themselves in a sticky situation where they need these prospects to develop faster at the major league level. And if they do, then they'll be just fine. It'd be not. If I was them, I'd go try and get a frontline starter. Versus.
So if you were them, you're going for it this year.
If I was them, I'm getting a frontline starter, and if Bregman walks, there's $40 million off the books, and you go piece together a team. I mean, they did it before in 2013 when they signed a bunch of vets, and they won the World Series. So it's not out of the question that teams can't do that. You don't have to have unanimous superstars around you.
Yeah.
So I don't. They do have enough talent offensively to figure it out, and enough young guys that will progress to be at least all-star caliber, if not around there.
This year,
maybe. I mean, Roman Anthony's a stud. Marcelo Meyer's a stud. Wilger Braves hit 2 home runs today. He's a stud. You still have Tristan Casas, who's injured. Who knows what you get from him? 2 years ago, he was a top 4 player in MLB with hitting after the All-Star break. So and they have a slew of
Romy.
Yeah, a slew of guys in the rotation that you have an ace, but you don't have a true number 2.
What ace is out there? Like, what ace is out there on the the trade market? Who could you go get this year to make a run? I mean, Sandy.
How about Freddy Peralta?
You could get Freddy Peralta.
But he's so unlikely to be traded. I feel like
he's going to cost a lot.
He's going to cost a ton, and you're going to.
He will cost a ton, but he's also Milwaukee has to deal him because they can't pay him, kind of like Corbin Burns, and they got Mikowski to replace him. So it's that to me seems like good business.
Like, is he an ace? Is he I mean, I like Peralta. I think he would play for any team in this league and be good. But is he an ace? Is he going to outdo Paul Skenes and Max
think
Fried?
Is he better
Max
than
Fried.
Carlos Rodon? Probably.
Yes.
But he's
Yeah.
not better than Max Fried.
No.
I mean, like,
But
and
they have
even,
Garrett
like,
Crochet going against Max Fried.
But I was going to say too. There's
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
two
yeah.
or three guys in baseball that are better than Max Fried when
Yeah.
he's on. So I mean,
I don't know how I
let.
I was thinking Peralta was going to be the ace. The big lefty just totally slipped my mind there. That was my bad. Yeah, Peralta as a
this
two
year
is
is a
actually
two,
Peralta as a two
yeah.
is solid.
Even someone
I was
like
thinking-
I would take a chance on Zach Gallen.
Yeah, maybe you can fix him.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd
He
rather
has a proven track record.
I'd rather try to fix Sandy because the stuff's just better. But
Sandy would be another good option. But I don't know how aggressive the Sox will be.
Hot and cold teams. We've talked about a bunch of them. However, there are now 3 teams over 50 wins already this year. 3 of them are the Dodgers, Tigers, and Astros. Of course, there's 2 AL teams in there. It's a little easier league to win in. So the Dodgers had to really grind it, but they're at 55 and 29.
Sure.
Which of these teams is actually for real though? Like which of these teams is, if I lay all 3 of these, which of these teams has the best shot at getting to the World Series? Which one has the worst shot? Joe, you start.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to stick with my World Series champion, the Los Angeles Dodgers, for sure. Just because of who's on their team. But to me, it's scary if you have to go to Game 7 and Scooble's on the mound. Absolutely scary. That would be terrified to be an opposing team to go up against him because he's just different. He's a CC Sabathia. He's a whatever Roger Clemens. Like he's going to get the job done. He's going to throw 130 pitches, and he's going to throw straight lightning at you. And I think the Tigers will be ultra aggressive because they see their window.
Yeah, this might be the year that they have to go all in. This might be one of their best shots at a World Series in a long time. I mean, their team looks pretty formidable, but I think that there's some areas that they can improve. But I don't disagree at all. I would not want to face Scooble, especially with the attitude that he comes up with on Game 7, and could be at.
He's
Detroit.
big too. Like he's a
big
guy you
dude.
can't intimidate. Like he's a big dude.
He's fiery too. He's got attitude up there on the bump. He's talking shit.
Did you see? I
Throwing
was gonna say, did
one-on-one
you
at
see? He threw some sort of like meatball to Buxton yesterday, and Buxton just like, it might have been today actually. I don't know. Either way, Buxton put a charge into it. It flew out to the warning track, but Scooble thought that he got it, and he was just chirping him the entire way, like kind of just like telling it. Like it seemed like it was kind of in fun because Buxton started laughing afterwards, but he's not scared of anybody on that he's facing. Like he'll serve it up to you. And he'll get in your face right afterwards. Whether you hit a homer off of him or he strikes you out, you're gonna hear from him.
Yeah, dude, I love how he throws. He's coming right at you with this stuff, and his stuff is dirty, so he usually wins the battle. But the rotation's good, man. They've got Scooble, they've got Flaherty, who's putting together a solid year. I think didn't Flaherty take like a no into like the 8th the other day or something like that? Did I read that right? I believe so.
I know he's had a couple of really good starts this year, and he's had a couple that were obviously less than ideal.
Reese Olson, Casey Mize. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Joe. I like the Dodgers the most of the 3. They really have no holes if they can get their rotation healthy, which I think that's going to be the deciding factor here of these 3. If the Dodgers rotation is healthy, then yeah, I mean they're kind of in a league of their own as far as talent goes.
Well, and they keep winning without it.
Yeah,
Always do.
Yeah, they figure it out one way or the other. But between the Tigers and the Astros, I think there's a Dodgers tier, and then the next 2. And I like the Tigers too, man. I like Riley Green a ton. I think he's super slept on. Kerry Carpenter's been solid for them most of the year. I think he just got dinged up though.
Kerry Bonds.
Yeah, so I mean, I like their squad, dude. They're good. There's a reason they have 50 wins.
And there's a reason why the Astros have 50 wins. They know how to win. They
Yep.
can never be slept on.
Yeah.
Hunter Brown, Framber.
Yeah.
Jordan
I will
isn't even
say-
in the lineup. He's supposed to be coming back next week. It's like they're only going to get better.
Yeah, that's a scary thought. And you know that they'll make a move too, which is, I mean, their bullpen is so dirty.
Yep.
Their bullpen
Hater.
is so dirty. Yeah, Hater. They got a couple guys in there.
Abreu.
Abreu's another one. But I just had to watch the Cubs face them for 3 games. It was not fun once the starter came out. Just isn't fun.
If you're playing fantasy baseball, go trade for Jordan. He's been like arguably the best hitter in baseball for like 3 years.
I've
dealing
tried.
with some injuries. If you're in the fantasy leagues, go get Jordan right now.
Let's skip forward here and look at our current midweek matchups. So right now we've got the Padres at Phillies. That's going to be kind of an interesting series. The Padres, I wouldn't call them scuffling. They're kind of just wading in the water, and they're just sitting there in second place in the West, not really making too strong of a move upward. But I think that if they can go on a nice little roll before the All-Star break, they might be able to scare the Dodgers a little bit. And the Phillies have been looking pretty strong outside of this last weekend.
Yeah, the Phillies are they're interesting because their bats actually they've been without Harper. They're getting Harper back. That obviously is like adding Jordan. It just totally changes everything. Your lineup becomes so much deeper when you add a guy like that in the middle of it. But their bats have been dead, dude. I mean, even against the Braves, they took 2 out of 3 from us. But you know, I think we lost a game to them like 2-1.
Yeah.
Because the Braves' offense has been even worse. So the Phillies have to start hitting the baseball. And I think Harper is obviously going to make that a little bit easier. But outside of that, dude, they've been really struggling. That's why they got absolutely smoked by Houston. I think it was the series before they played us. So it's a good opportunity for the Phillies right now. They just took 2 out of 3 from the Braves. The Mets are obviously in shambles right now. So right now is the time for the Phillies to put the pedal to the metal, start hitting the baseball, make a deal at the deadline, and secure this National League East.
Yep.
They're the only team in in shape to do that. The Mets are not. The Braves clearly are not. The Nationals and the Marlins aren't good enough to even discuss. So the Phillies right now have a window to just kind of step on everybody's throat.
Yeah.
They won again today. So they joined the 50 win club too.
Yeah, I don't know if I
did.
heard that right. You said that the AL West leading Astros destroyed the NL East leading Phillies?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did happen.
Interesting.
And they actually
Blind squirrel
beat the
finds a
Cubs,
nut,
too.
dude.
Love to hear it. Let's look at the next 2 here. Yankees at Blue Jays and Brewers at Mets are the other games. The Yankees lost to the Blue Jays today 5-4. So the Blue Jays are on a nice little run, kind of making some noise, which, by the way, Joe, I believe that was your dark horse team for this year.
They were my dark horse team. That is correct.
And the Brewers at Mets, I believe that starts tomorrow.
Yes.
So that series will start tomorrow, but it could be kind of a fun series. The Brewers have been playing pretty well. I will make mention of one other score today that's intriguing. The Pirates won 7-0 today. So don't look now. Pirates might be making a nice little mid-season run here just to make their fans, I don't know, happy or have some level of hope for this team moving forward. But they've looked good. What's that, 37 runs in 4 games now?
Tommy Pham extension imminent. Big money Pirates.
Dude, call up Connor Griffin and Bubba and let's get this thing going, man. Pirates fans have been waiting too long to see some level of, just
Competitiveness.
relevance.
Yeah.
The Red Sox need to trade Jared Duran for Bubba Griffin. Bubba Chandler. Get it done.
Bubba Chandler, yeah, for sure. Let's talk buttered plain or burnt this week. Gotta love it.
It's a good one.
So who's got the players this week?
I got the players this week.
Perfect. Let's hear them.
So the players are some of the most notable second basemen of the 2000s. A debate that's never been answered until tonight on Toast Baseball. We have buttered, which is starter, plain, which is benched, burnt, which is to the bench, or I guess DFA'd. We got Dustin Pedroia, Petey, a.k.a. The Laser Show, Ian Kinsler, and Chase Utley.
Casey, I'm going to let you take this one first because I kind of want to hear what you got to say on it before I make my decision.
So my buttered is Chase Utley. I mean, I think that might just be because I watched him just hammer my team for such a long time. But also, you know, statistically, I think he's been a little bit better. So I'm going Utley, buttered. I'm going plain, Pedroia, and burnt Ian Kinsler.
Oh man, yeah, I'm kind of leaning in that same direction. We're talking peak here, right? Are we talking peak, Joe?
Talking peak.
Or are we
talking
talking
peak.
All
Really,
right,
like
peak.
top 3 seasons.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go. I am gonna have Utley, buttered, but I'm gonna swap the next two. I'm gonna put Kinsler in at second because I think that he is gonna surprise me with the statistics, and I'm gonna have Pedroia burnt. I'll be honest, I don't feel great about that, but that's what I'm gonna run with.
Yeah, it's sacrilegious, but
I mean, I figured that he wouldn't have Pedroia anywhere where he could be burnt, but I thought I'd throw it out there.
Somebody had to burn him.
yes,
Yeah.
someone has to get burned, unfortunately. Looking at the stats, Ian Kinsler's highest WAR season was in 2011 with a 7.
Okay.
Had 32 jacks that year, hit 255. That would be Chase Utley's 6th best season for WAR.
Okay. So I feel pretty good about the Utley pick now.
That would be Dustin Pedroia's tied for 2nd best WAR.
Okay.
And actually, that 7 WAR, Dustin Pedroia had that in 2008, and that was his MVP season, where he had 17 jacks, hit 326 though. But Dustin Pedroia's highest WAR was in 2011, which was an 8, which was the greatest team that never make the playoffs. Chase Utley has the easiest highest WAR at 9 in 2008. He actually finished 14th in MVP voting, which is pretty crazy to think of. He
And
had,
won a World Series that same year.
yeah, 2008.
Believe so. Right?
Oh yeah,
Phillies,
he beat
Ryan
they
Howard.
beat the Rays. They were supposed to play the Red Sox, but 33 home runs, 104 ribbies, 113 runs, 292 average. Yeah, because Jimmy Rollins won an MVP. That might have been Jimmy Rollins' MVP year. Was 2008.
Yeah.
will
But yeah, he had a
say,
9
I'm
WAR,
looking.
9 WAR, and then the year after he had an 8.2 WAR. The year before was 7.8, and then he had 2 7.3s. So from 2005 to 2009, he was
Nobody was better.
no one was better than Chase Utley.
And guess what? He won 0 MVPs.
0 MVPs.
And guess who did win an MVP? Dustin Pedroia.
He's a
I
stud.
don't know how you make sense of that.
Well, they had Albert Pujols in that time frame in the NL.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's classic, though. I mean, there's so many guys you got to compete with in the NL that are just top tier. That it's a little bit easier when you're skating through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've got to go Utley, man. I will say this, though. As far as Pedroia goes, man, he was just... You
was
talk
nasty.
about playing the game the right way, dude. He was just balls to the wall all the time. I mean, you love watching him play. And he was also super talented. But yeah, Utley, dude, I watched it year after year. He's a monster. He had the prettiest lefty stroke.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you're hitting 33 home runs in 2008, you know, from the second base position, and low-key won a World Series that year. So when he was peaking, his team was also, you know, getting rings. So yeah, dude, I'm taking Utley all day here, and Pedroia at a close second.
Pedroia encapsulated Boston, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, he was Boston through and through, and it was fun to watch him play. He was always the guy that you could kind of trust in the big situations too. I think he was a guy that was going to go out there and give you a really good competitive at bat no matter what. And that definitely factors into the whole thing here. I am surprised. I thought Ian Kinsler being thrown in there may have been.
I was thinking that too.
I was thinking he was thrown in there and maybe had been a little bit better than Pedroia. But I mean, he only had one year he was at a 7. I don't think he even got over a 5 something for the rest of from a WAR perspective.
He never had a year with a 900 OPS.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's surprising to me.
Chase
Especially
Utley
considering
had.
that he was arguably one of the
Chase
one of
had
the best.
1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 consecutive years of 900 plus OPS.
Yeah.
So he was a dog, dude. That Phillies team, because I know you guys remember that rotation. It was they made the big trade with the Astros, I believe, and they had like
Cole Hamels.
Holiday, Oswalt, dude, that rotate Cole Hamels. I mean, that rotation's one of the best rotations of all time too. And then Ryan Howard,
Cliff
was
Lee.
hitting- Cliff Lee. Yeah, so Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay, Cole Hamels, Oswalt, and there was one more who was dirty too.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can't think of his name. He was funky. He's from Oakland. They got him from Oakland.
It was insane. And then they had, the middle of that lineup was Howard, Jimmy Rollins, and Utley.
Yeah,
and then
it's just ridiculous.
And then I think
Raul Ibanez.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Raul
Raul
Ibanez.
Ibanez, yeah.
And then Shane Victorino, I believe,
Correct.
was in center field for that team. Dude, they were dirty.
Yeah.
they were nasty.
Yeah. That was a nasty team.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good segment.
Joe Blanton.
Blanton.
What was that?
That was the guy from Oakland, Joe Blanton. He was the number 5. He was
They
like
also had the dirty closer.
the lefty.
No, 2008.
They also had Jamie Moyer. Brad Lidge was on the team.
Brad Lidge. Brad Lidge.
J.A. Happ was on the team.
Yeah, J.A. Happ.
Kyle Kendrick was on the team.
Jason
That was
Worth.
dirty. Oh, yeah, it was Worth there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude, that's
it's
loaded, loaded.
freaking all-
Pat
freaking
Burrell.
all-star.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
dude.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a reason those are some dark years in Atlanta. There was no getting over that hump.
No doubt. Let's look at the quick recap of the current standings. Right now, AL, Yanks 1.5 game lead, Tigers 11.5 game lead, running away with the division. I don't think that's going to change. Astros now at a 6.5 game lead, which that happened pretty quick as well. That division's starting to look a little shakier. I thought it was going to be a little bit more competitive. The Rangers are just not getting it done, boys. I said last week I was waiting for them to go on their run. They're
Hasn't
just
happened.
their offense just they can't compete. They're bad. They're bad.
Yeah.
Phillies, Cubs, and Dodgers are your leaders in the NL. Phillies with a 2-game, Cubs with a 2-game, Dodgers with a 7.5 game. Also starting to look a little dicier in that division as well. I think Joe called that one quite a few times, that as we get into the middle of summer here, the Dodgers are just going to kind of put their foot down and start pulling away. All right, last week's predictions. Another solid week for Joe. I will say we all did pretty well this week. There was no sweeps or anything like that we completely got screwed out on. Cubs Astros, we'll start with that one. Just rip the Band-Aid right off. The Cubs, they spanked the Astros in game 2. They were getting spanked in game 1, came all the way back, and they brought Hader in, and it was over 7-4. And then the last day, when the Cubs really needed that win, they had to face Framber Valdez for 5 or 6 innings, and then turn around and face that ridiculous bullpen. It was not a fun experience, and I could see that one really being tough in the playoffs, by the way, if that team gets in.
Wait, so the first place AL West Astros beat the first place NL Central Cubs?
They did. They did
Okay.
indeed.
Wanted to
So-
check that.
So Joe had the Astros winning, and they did take it 2-1. Me and Casey both had the Cubs for obvious reasons. And Joe took that one. Padres at Reds was another really good series. So it was actually kind of funny. We all ended up with the Reds. Me and Casey had swapped our picks at the last second last week once we saw who was on the mound, and thank God we did because they ended up winning 2-1. Abbott was a monster again. I think he's under like a 1.8 ERA for the season now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that was a sweep win for all three of us.
Well done by Toast Baseball right there.
Yeah,
I think,
done.
I think
done.
Vegas probably was leaning the other way there. So good job, boys.
For sure. Yeah, we could have probably made some money on that one if we would have gotten in. Blue Jays at Red Sox. This is one I'm proud of, if I'm being honest. I picked the Blue Jays. You guys both had the Sox winning. I did not feel great about that one, but now kind of looking back at it, the Blue Jays have been playing pretty good baseball. They did get absolutely smoked one of the games, and I got a little nervous there that it was just going to end up, Boston was going to come out the next day and continue it. Luckily for me, they did not. Blue Jays took it 2-1. That was my sole win, or my sole win by myself without one of you guys tagging along. And then Cardinals at the Guardians this week. I think I was the only one out on that. So I turned around and basically gave my Blue Jays pick away. And I was just trying to bring a little bit something different to the team here. Everybody went Cards. And the weekly wrap up there is Joe was 3-1. Me and Casey were both 2-2. And that brings our season totals to a horrible picture if you are me. 31-21 for Joe on the season. Could probably be a millionaire right now if he would just bet single lines. I'm at 20-32, and Casey hasn't been here as long, but he's at 5-3. Good positive start for you there. But yeah, so maybe we might have to start making this a side gig for all of us to make some money off of Joe's picks here in the next couple of weeks.
As soon as I put money on it, Joe, if I trailed Joe, he would start losing because that's just what happens when I put money on baseball games.
I might do it on purpose. I might do it on purpose just to see if it works.
Yeah, it's a sneaky good play for the, to salvage a little, salvage some W's here.
So let's run quick through the Fantasy League update. I know there's one big thing that we want to talk about here, but just from a fantasy matchup perspective, Casey, you and I are going against each other this week. I'm currently leading 8 categories to 5. Most of that damage has come from the last couple of days where my team's just gone nuclear. I don't know if I trust them to keep it up through a whole nother week here, but we'll see. You and I are kind of slugging it out, though. I got 17 homers already, and you got 14. So I'm thinking by the end of this week, we'll both be in the 20s for sure.
Yeah, my bats are afraid right now, dude. I don't know why. My average is not looking great. My hitters aren't hitting. Probably has something to do with Ronald Acuna coming back down to earth a little bit. And then some, Francisco Lindor obviously not playing well. So he's kind of hurting me. And dude, too many off days. What are we doing? MLB, we need more games every day. We can't have 6 teams not playing at one time.
Yeah, Mondays suck, man. Mondays are horrible and Thursdays are horrible.
Yeah.
They need to figure those days out, especially during this 2-month stretch where there's nothing going on. There's no other sports to watch. This is your time, Deshaun.
Locked and loaded, baseball every day, full showcase.
Joe, how's the fantasy team doing this week? I don't know where you're standing right now on your categories.
Yeah, I'm currently playing the first place Cravos, and we are tied 6-1. Even though the projectionalists have me at going 10-3 against the first place team, so I am competing in every offensive category besides home runs. He is destroying me, even though I'm leading in OPS, which is he has 19 home runs, I have 9, and I have a higher OPS. So I guess we're like the laser show, like Pedroia, a lot of doubles, and then he has a 1.87 ERA right now with a 1.038 WHIP, which is insanity.
I tried telling you guys in our fantasy baseball group chat the other day. I was checking out the Cravos rotation, and big shout out to Cravo, the man in the chair, for having a hell of a pitching draft. Okay. This guy has a staff, okay? It's out of control. He's got Scooble. He's got Rodon. He's got Scooble, Framber. He's got
Scherzer.
DeGrom, Max Fried, Mitch Keller. He's got Glass now on the IL. He's got Blake Snell on the IL. He has Justin Steele on the IL. I mean, when the Cravos get healthy, he's got a small window. We're in a dynasty league, so I'm not crazy about the age. His average age is like 54 on his roster or something like that. But for 2025, dude, I like how Cravo just came out in the draft and sent it right out of the gate. Also, don't sleep on Shohei Ohtani. Is he gonna, he's gonna start getting to pencil him in a pitching role. So, dude, beware.
Well, and to be fair, it's not like his offense is void of talent either.
It's not.
He's got Will Smith at catcher. He's got Vladimir Guerrero. He's got Trey Turner.
Yeah.
He's got Manny Machado.
He's got Shohei.
Nolan Arenado. He's got Schwarber. I don't know how this ended up happening. If I'm being completely
How
honest,
did we let Cravo do this?
I don't know how we let this happen. This is going to be something to watch for the rest of the season, though, for sure. And maybe even into next year, all these guys come back healthy. It's definitely going to be. It's going to be a problem.
If we let Cravo go back to back, dude, I swear.
Cravo's not getting out of the first round.
Yeah. We're going to see a nice little slump come in at the right time for the boys. Joe, I will say one thing that could have really helped you this week is a little Michael Busch action with the homers. I know you only got 9 there. He would have been more than 10. He would have been more than 10% of your home run total this week. Yeah. Just him by himself. So tough look for the team, but
not worried about it.
2020. Hindsight's 2020.
AJ vindication on trades.
It feels good, at least for now. Joe, tell us about how you improved your team this last week, though.
Yeah, we had a 3-team blockbuster trade. Aaron Judge was involved. The Jans front office continues to be active per usual. And the Jans traded away a lot of their prospect capital, but ended up getting Tyler Soderstrom.
Close.
Alex Bregman and Dylan Cruz.
Yeah, could be a big one.
So the Piss Missiles got Aaron Judge, PP Poo Poo, Bryce Eldridge. Maybe that's it.
Judge, Eldridge. Oh, and Max Muncy.
Yeah,
Muncy.
The forgettable Max Muncy. And then the Coventry Lake Motorboaters, who traded away Aaron Judge. And might I add, only 2.5 games out of a wild card spot, have decided to go full rebuild. And they received a package and a haul, which I got to go to their actual team.
Corbin Carroll involved in this deal.
So he did give up Judge, but he ended up getting Corbin Carroll back, which, I mean, you're looking at a guy that's probably a 30-plus homer guy, if healthy, and easily a 40 steal guy, and possibly
50.
Way higher than that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, possibly way higher than that. So you're getting a shit ton of value back there. I just don't know. Obviously, if you're going to sell Judge and you're in last place, this might be the year to do it and get a lot of value for him because he's playing out of his mind. Because let's be honest, Judge, he walks out and steps the wrong way, and all of a sudden he's out for 3 months. So it's one of those situations.
Yep. Then you got a prospect haul of Christian Campbell, Charlie Condon, Connor Griffin, and Jared Jones.
Yeah, it's not a bad haul back. I definitely think if even 2 of those guys pan out to be really good players, I think he'll feel pretty good about his situation, especially because he got Corbin Carroll back.
Right. The Corbin Carroll is almost like in the dynasty format is, who got drafted higher, Judge or Corbin Carroll in our draft? I mean, Corbin Carroll's 24, 25. In the dynasty format, I don't know. I think maybe the most valuable piece involved was Corbin Carroll in the dynasty format. You're not just looking at rest of season.
He got drafted round 2, pick 1, so he got drafted 9th.
Yeah, so right after Judge. So basically, the way they were valued in the league was 1 for 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, Judge, is Judge, and it sounds like the Piss Missiles are trying to go and just go after it this year. So I respect it. When you're in a position to collect a potential championship in the fantasy league, mortgage the future and just go after it, man. Sometimes that's what you got to do. I will say, in a couple years down the road, I can definitely feel like if I'm the Piss Missiles, I'm going to be maybe a little chapped about how good Corbin Carroll and Soderstrom are. But
he's got Bryce Eldridge.
Again, though, that guy's got to pan out.
Yeah.
He's got to pan out. So to me, I've seen enough from Corbin Carroll and I've seen enough from Soderstrom at this point to say those dudes are going to be stars in short order.
Right.
If they aren't already considered borderline stars. For Eldridge, he could be the next great player in baseball, but more likely he's going to end up being a decent player potentially and with all-star upside.
Who sent Cruz?
Had to have been the motorboaters, I believe.
Thomas. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Dylan Cruz is interesting. I mean, this guy, coming into this year, he's had a rough go of it. Still just 23. If he pans out, then Joe, I'm really excited for you, because if he pans out, then that's going to be a hell of a haul for what you gave up.
It does feel like, if I'm being honest, it does feel like at this point you probably have won this trade. If we were giving out wins and losses, but I can see a situation. I mean, look, if the Piss Missiles win the championship this year, it's hard to say they didn't win the trade, because
true.
There's no guarantees in fantasy baseball, and if you can find a way to win even one championship in a 5-6 year period, you're one of the best teams in our league. So
you're looking at the one of the only champions in this room at the moment of the men's league.
Yeah, I've won as well once. I have one win under my belt. It was back when we were in the ESPN fantasy format. It's been a long time ago.
I think I've had some heartbreaking second place finishes.
I have, I've had more of my share of those than I have wins. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, dude, when we're talking trades in the fantasy league, this one is probably up there with some of the biggest, potential ones. Now, I will say though, this one doesn't to me feel league altering. So that's one thing. It feels like all the teams were already, in a situation where their rosters were pretty good. I don't see this changing the standings that much, if I'm being honest, because the Piss Missiles gave up Corbin Carroll and Soderstrom. They get Judge back. You're trading a lot of the same statistics there for two guys. Now you're just making it one. Like he may drop a little bit in some of the stolen base categories, but then Joe, to your point, right? Like where you're getting more value right now is you're getting the Soderstrom 14 homers, but also you're getting those fielding points that we talked about, which that's going to be a huge deal down the road. And you just picked up Ozzy Obbies from me, so your fielding points are about to be
I just became the best fielding team in the league.
Yeah, overnight.
Because I also picked up Willie Adames on the waiver wire. Someone dropped him. He's 93% owned, and he's one of the best defensive shortstops in the game. He has over 300 fielding points.
He's a black hole on offense right now. But I will say,
I don't know. He's been doing a lot better.
He's got a little protection in the lineup now. They've got a big stud hitting in the 3-hole now, so that's obviously going to make everybody a little bit better.
His past 2 weeks, he's in 263.
And there we go. Yeah, I mean, if
you got to
hit...
make up for Rafael Devers having 0 points at the fans or the fielding points.
Yeah,
so
we're probably gonna have to get a DH slot. Yeah.
What Joe needs is he needs a Lubob to get traded at the deadline. Speaking of trade deals, Luis Robert Jr. needs to get dealt, and if he can get sandwiched in between some good hitters in a competitive environment, he's just way too talented to be giving you nothing. He's hitting 185 this year, and he's just way better than that. So
it's funny you brought him up. We're going to run through our quick injury update here. So Luis Robert was just placed on the 10-day DL with a left hamstring strain. The dude just never stays healthy. This is a year in, year out situation. And if I'm a team trading for him, that's why my offer is going to be a little lower. And you know what? The White Sox have to also kind of eat crow here and probably take it as competitive as an offer as they can get when he is officially dealt. Kyle Bradish and Grayson Rodriguez both throw off the mound, eyeing a return after the All-Star break. So that is good news if you are a Orioles fan.
And Jans.
And the Giants in the fantasy league. Yoshida to begin a rehab assignment, and Hicks is to be activated any day now after being traded from the Giants.
Hicks actually threw today.
He's got some pretty good stuff. It's going to be interesting. He's struggled this year, so it'll be interesting to see if the Red Sox can fix him a little bit. Alvarez took BP on the field before the Cubs game the other day. Looked pretty good. Possible return is next week versus the Dodgers. And Jeremy Pena is going to be out. I believe he's hitting the DL. He got a cracked rib from getting pounded right in the ribs. I forget who threw it, but it was during this Cubs weekend. It looked nasty. It was a perfect just rib shot. Not good. Tyler Glasnow, 2 minor league starts away. Snell's a long way out from throwing. So we'll see. Keep watching the Dodgers rotation. Royce Lewis could be activated on Tuesday from the 10-day DL. Griffin Canning, believed to suffer an Achilles injury. We mentioned that earlier for the Mets. That's going to be a tough one. He's done, most likely, if not already confirmed. Bryce Harper traveled with the team, and he's taken some BP. However, Nola was shut down another 2 weeks after a positive MRI on his rib cage, so that's not fun news for the Phillies. However, he wasn't pitching all that well anyway, so they're not losing too much there. Darvish threw 3 simulated games in high A. He's ramping up. That's going to be welcome news for the Padres for sure. They need a little bit of they need to get a little steady in that starting pitching rotation. Jordan Walker for the Cardinals to begin a rehab assignment on Saturday. McClanahan throws off the mound. He feels good. Faedo also begins a rehab assignment, so the Rays are looking up. And Wyatt Langford hit the 10-day DL with an oblique strain. Not good news for Texas, who already is one of the worst offensive teams in baseball. And you arguably just lost your best hitter that is not named Corey Seager. So that's going to be a rough go of it for Texas. Odd or not? KC, give us the hot.
Let's go Otto Lopez, scorching hot with a 423 average, 2 jacks, 13 RBI, a swipe with a 1231 OPS. Spencer Steer coming in with a 522 average. Nobody can get this man out. 3 home runs, 7 RBI, 1 swipe, 1477 OPS. Juan Soto, owned by me in the fantasy league, finally heating up. 304 average, 4 jacks, 6 RBI. 4 jacks, 6 RBI. You know, that just hurts the fantasy team because the rest of the Mets are in shambles and nobody's on base. So a lot of solo shots there. 1 swipe, 1234 OPS. Jacob Young, owned in 1% of leagues. And I've actually been peaking. I was peaking at this. 318 average, 5 RBI, 4 swipes. So if you need some swipe help, he's there. 784 OPS. No home runs, though. So he's doesn't look like he's going to help you out much there. But, you know, if you can take a little loss on the home runs, he might be worth looking into. Spencer Schwellenbach, 14 innings pitched, 16 Ks, 2 quality starts, 1.93 ERA, 0.64 WHIP. And I do have something to read about Spencer Schwellenbach here. You want your ace to dominate in the division. You want your ace to go out against your rivals and put up quality numbers. So let's listen to this stat here. Spencer Schwellenbach has a 6-0 record in 66.1 innings pitched with an ERA of 2.04, 66 Ks, and 10 appearances versus the Mets and the Phillies. So he is dominating our biggest rivals in Atlanta, and that's what you want out of your ace. So that's your hot list.
Yeah. Spencer Schwellenbach, man, that guy's name's going to be hard to say for years. Spencer Schwellenbach is dirty, dude. Watch that game against the Phils. Just absolutely nasty, and his stuff just looks really good.
Yeah, speaking of somebody that deserves to be considered for an All-Star game, he's been lights out.
For sure. Especially for a team that's had some ups and downs in the starting pitching rotation. Yeah. Joe, you want to walk us down the not list? I'm spying a name here that might be a tough one. We'll see.
We got Fernando Tatis, 130 average, 1 home run, 3 ribbies, 2 stolen bags, 492 OPS on the Jans. Not a good week.
Trade him to me.
Michael Toglia, 200 average, 0 home runs, 2 RBIs, 0 stolen bags, 520 OPS. Adolis Garcia, 120 average, 0 home runs, 5 RBIs, 0 swipes, 231 OPS. Holy
Terrible.
hell.
Yeah.
Bo Bichette, 200 average, 0 home runs, 1 RBI, 0 stolen bags, 433 OPS. And then Bailey Ober, 12.2 innings pitched, 12 Ks, 0 quality starts, 9.95 ERA, $1.50 WHIP. At least he's eating innings, I guess. You're trying to find a silver lining.
If you want to know why the Rangers can't figure it out, have a nice long look at Adolis Garcia's stat line this year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad too, and he's not improving in very many areas at all. And they kind of count on him, especially because, Corey Seager has all of his injuries. And now Wyatt Langford has kind of looked a little injury prone in his early career as well. Josh Young has been injury prone and has not been very good at the plate. So they've been counting on Adolis Garcia and Marcus Semien, and both of those guys have, let's call it what it is, they've shit the bed. They've looked horrible.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like it's getting any better. So if you're a Rangers fan, I was trying to prop you up a little bit last week, and I thought maybe if you guys came through against Seattle this last weekend and won that series, that things could be looking up, especially because you got the Angels in Houston next week. So it gives you an opportunity to take that division right by storm. But, dude, I don't see it. They can't hit the ball.
The Angels are 2 games out of a wild card. They can't be slept on.
I know.
Joe Adell resurgence.
It's about this time of year, by the way, where you can just write the Angels off. It's about this time of year normally that you can confidently say, Angels are out of the playoff picture by this time most years. This year, looking a little bit different. So if you're an Angels fan, be involved with your team, man, because these guys, they're playing their butts off.
It would be great if they make the playoffs without Ohtani.
Yeah. Speaking of the Angels, though, let's give a little thoughts and prayers here for Ron Wash, who is on leave, dealing with a health issue that's indefinite. So haven't got many updates, but dude, Ron Washington's such a cool guy. He's given his entire life to baseball, so I hope everything works out well and he gets to enjoy a long retirement one day. Baseball's better with Ron Wash around.
I would love to see him come back if he's healthy enough, obviously, and at least give us one more year as the manager next year would be awesome, and kind of give him a farewell tour.
Yeah.
Let's look at our series to watch this weekend.
Are we ready?
Here we go. This is going to be fun.
All right.
Do we have the pitching matchups?
I got them.
All right, so let's do this. So first we got Reds at Phillies. Joe, who are our pitching matchups in the Reds versus Phillies?
We got Andrew Abbott versus Jesus Luzardo. Then we got Nick Lodolo versus Ranger Suarez. And then last we got Chase Burns versus Zach Wheeler.
God,
Electric.
This is going to be an amazing pitching matchup. Casey, who you got first?
I'm going to take the Phillies. I'm going to take the Phillies 2-1.
2-1 Phillies for Casey. I also have the Phillies 2-1. I'll be completely honest. I feel like I've had a lot of success going with the Reds. So this feels a little taboo for me, but I'm going to go Phillies here. I love that Abbott and Lodolo game. Burns got beat up real bad tonight against Boston. I hope that doesn't screw with his confidence. Joe?
Yeah, I got the Reds fighting Tito's 2-1.
Fighting Tito's. All right. Cards at Cubs. Big matchup here.
The Ozark rivalry.
Yeah, let's hear this pitching matchup. I'm actually very intrigued.
Well, St. Louis is going to lose game 1 because Mike McCullough is on the mound versus Colin Ray. Okay, we got Matthew Liberatore versus Jameson Taillon.
Had a great outing against Houston.
Great outing. 6:10 start on Sunday, ESPN. Eric Fetty versus Matthew Boyd.
Okay. Yeah, give me Cubs sweeping. Cubs are sweeping.
This guy.
And it's in Chicago. Matt Boyd is a quality start machine. It wouldn't surprise me, too, if Shota ends up making the Colin Ray start. Depends on when he starts this week. And give me Tyon over Liberatore. Come on. What are we talking about here? By the way, the Cards are not for real. They're not for real. They have their little win streaks that they go on. They split the series versus the Cubs. Contreras gets all in his feelings because he's getting barked at by the closer. Get out of here. Come on. Cards aren't for real. Lost 7-0 today versus Pittsburgh.
Liberatore needs some love, dude. He's got a 3.7 ERA on the year, 76 Ks across 92 innings. That's not great, actually, but he's dirty. I like Liberatore. So I've got the Cardinals taking 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I too got the Cards 2-1. Doesn't make sense, but it's gonna happen.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. There's my guaranteed win of the week. Yanks at Mets is our next matchup here. Who we got? This is at Mets, so this is going to be in Queens.
It's in Queens. We got Stroman versus Paul Blackburn.
Oof.
So bad.
We got fat, bald Carlos Rodon versus Frankie Montas.
Oof.
And then we have Max Fried versus Clay Holmes.
I'll just jump out there and say I got the Yankees sweep in Queens. Down go the Mets.
I'm gonna say that the Mets steal 1, but I got Yankees 2-1.
Yeah, I'm not picking the Yankees. The Mets will win 2-1. 2 out of 3.
I'm surprised you gave the Yanks even a game there. Probably the Max Fried one, if I had to be honest. Astros at Dodgers. This is going to be probably one of the most electric series of the weekend. Joe, run us down some pitching matchups.
Got Lance McCullers Jr. versus Undecided.
So Shohei Ohtani.
For 1 inning.
We got Framber Valdez versus Undecided. And we got Colton Gordon versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yeah, love that guy.
Yeah, he's dirty.
Casey.
Yeah, I got the Dodgers. I got the Dodgers 2-1. Not going to rock the boat here.
I also am doing Dodgers 2-1. I think just too much there, and it's in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to switch it to the Astros 2-1.
Feeling a little.
Yeah, I'm going
just
with the nothing's going to make sense this weekend picks.
I like it. You just set my parlay for the week, so I'm excited about that. Every once in a while, you gotta trust Joe's gut here, and try and make some money. Hopefully this makes it so that whatever one did we pick one all together, or Joe, did you have all of the ones opposing me and Casey?
Who did you have? Did you have the Cubs or Casey had the Cards, right?
Yeah, he had the Cards.
Yeah, it looks like Casey and I agree on the Cards, and me and you agree on nothing.
Oh, that is par for the course. That is going to do it for this week's episode of Toast Sports Baseball. It was fun. Had some all-star debates. It's going to be interesting to see how this pans out, especially with all the Dodgers players in there. But please make sure that if you guys are enjoying the podcast, follow us on all of our platforms. Subscribe to the podcast. Hit us with any takes that you want us to bring up on the pod. We will do it. And let us know who the biggest all-star snub is this all-star game. We have our own opinions, but we'd love to hear yours. And we will catch you guys next week. Stay toasty.